Hello and welcome. You are now looking at the application Microsoft Word 2016 as of the recording of this video. It is the most recent version of Microsoft Word inside of the Microsoft Office 365 suite. In fact, if you were to look at other applications in the suite, you realize that it's no accident that many of the same menus and features in those menus are the same. And that's especially evident when you look at Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint. However, Microsoft Word is for the creation of documents, and we'll be looking at each of the menus in this course and what they help you to do to contribute toward creating documents. Now, if you are a regular user of Microsoft Word, you're probably using many of the features already available in the Home menu. However, with each successive move to the right from the Insert menu to the Design menu, to the Layout menu, to the References menu, and on through to the end, it's quite possible that you don't use many of the features in these menus. In fact, they will give you latitude to create more complex documents. And so by the time you complete the course, not only will you be able to use the Home menu more effectively, but you'll be able to use other items in the other menus to help you to create your documents. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the first video. Welcome back. Now, it's fairly obvious that you can begin typing as soon as you use Microsoft Word. However, there are certain aspects of each menu that are going to be helpful to you. We're going to go to this left side area. We're going to click File, and you're going to find that this is going to open up to you. Now, you're going to find that you're going to have documents that you've worked with in chronological order. But one thing that you can do in this file area is that you can pin documents that you work with often. And so all you need to do is to find the document that you want to pin. You're going to hover over that document, and then you're going to see a pin on the right hand side. You can click that pin. That's going to make that document come to the top, and then you're going to have access to it until you decide to unpin it. You can do the same thing with the Folders tab. You can come over, hover over the folder, and then you can click this pin. That's going to pin that folder to the top, and you'll be able to use it whenever you come to this file area. Now, the other areas of your file menu are going to be familiar to you. You have saving commands here. You can save your document as a PDF, and you can print your document and customize your print settings here in this link. Within the print menu, you have access to the page setup, where you can click this link and you can set your page layout. You also have the share command. Now, the share command gives you the ability to share your document with other individuals so that you can collaborate on it. So in this case, you're going to click this link, you're going to save it to your cloud drive, and then designate the individuals that are going to be working with the document along with you. You can also present the document online. If you click this link, if you use Office 365, you can use Skype for Business to present your document, or you can use the Office Presentation Service, which is a free public service. If you click this link, you're going to see that there's no setup. A link is going to be created to share with other people. So what you're going to do is you're going to click this box. You're then going to click Present Online. Word will then give you a link that you can share with others, and then you can start your presentation. And all you'll need to do is then click this button that says Start Presentation. You will then be presenting the document to other individuals that have the link, and then once you've completed your presentation, you can click this button that says End Online Presentation. If you want to send invitations to other people so they'll be able to see what you're doing, you can click this button that says Send Invitations. That will give you the opportunity to send the link to other people. And once you click the End Online Presentation, you'll see that other people will be disconnected. If you continue, you're then going to click End Online Presentation. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, there are a few other important aspects of the File menu. If you go all the way down to the left side and you click on this Options link, it's a good idea to go through each menu and familiarize yourself with each aspect. For example, one aspect in particular, inside of the Save command, you'll notice that you can have your documents auto-saved every 10 minutes, which is the default, or you can reset it to another time level if you like. What this does is it keeps a version of your document if you close the document without saving it. And so you can get access to the work that you've done up until 10 minutes if for some reason your computer shuts down or you forget to save. And you can designate where that document is going to be saved here in this area. And going back to the general area, one of the things you'll notice is that since Microsoft purchased the LinkedIn social network, you now have integration between LinkedIn and Microsoft Office. And you'll be able to do this inside of Word by making sure that this box is enabling that process. Now, you'd probably have to do this only once when you begin working with Word, but it's a good idea to go through each level to determine which of these options are going to be most fitting to what you're doing with Microsoft Word. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, when you open up a new or existing document, you're going to open up to the Home menu, which is going to be your default. And you'll recognize all of the text operations that you would in either PowerPoint or Excel or just about any other word processing software. So, for example, you'll be able to change the nature of the text by highlighting the text and clicking any of the buttons where you want to affect some change. For example, if you want to change the color of the text, you can do that. You want to change the nature of the text from normal to bold, you can do that. Clicking the button returns it to its original state. You can use italics, underline. You can also use strike through and then return it to its original state. You can work in the paragraph tab. This will change your justification. For example, if you want to center justify, you can do that. If you want to right justify, you can do that. Or if you want to even justify, you can do that. And one thing you can do in the clipboard tab is you can use the format painter. And for example, if we were to click this link that said format painter, we can then find an area of the text that we want to make look like the area we painted. And all we'll need to do is we'll need to then highlight that new area, release the mouse, and then you'll notice we were able to copy this same formatting over. Now, whenever we want to undo a command, the undo command is at the very top. All we'll need to do is to click this backwards arrow. We'll be able to go back to the way we were, and in fact, we can go back several steps by clicking this down arrow and then finding the place that we want to go back to at the very beginning. Now, you're likely very familiar with the editing tools such as Find and Find and Replace, as well as Select or Select All, where we can then make changes to the entire block of text at one time. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, also in the Home menu, you're going to notice the Styles tab. And the Styles tab allows you to customize your document and to make sure that you're doing the same thing consistently throughout the document when you're using various titles and subtitles. So for example, when you are putting together a document and you start with your title, one of the things that you can do is you can highlight this title, you can click this button, and you can make sure that this is going to be designated as the title and that your style is going to be the same if you decide to use this very same thing in the document again. So for example, if we were to come down into the document, we were to place text on the inside, and we were to leave that text in the normal mode, which is going to be the default setting. If we wanted this title to look just like the other one, all we would need to do is to highlight this text, then click this button for title, and then our title would be the exact same. It's possible to use styles to do subheadings also. So for example, if we were to place text inside of this area, what we could do is we can highlight this text, and then we can click this button to make this a heading. Now, it's quite possible that we don't like the style of this particular heading. So what we could do is we could change the nature of this heading to another font. We can make it in the way that we want it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to this heading button. We're going to right-click the heading button. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click this link that says Update Heading 1 to match selection. So now whenever we go and we change something to heading 1, what's going to happen is this text is going to appear. So for example, let's go to this area of the text. Then we're going to highlight this text. What we're going to do is we're going to change this to the heading number 1. We can also modify this text. So for example, if we wanted to go into heading 1, we wanted to click modify, and we can assume that we want to center these areas of heading 1, and what we can do is we can then click this justify button so that whenever we use this heading, it's then going to be center justified. We're then going to click OK. And what you're going to notice then is that this title now is going to be in the center as well as the other one we created. Now typically, if you are creating a manuscript, you can use the title button for all of your titles. You can use your heading as the first heading or the first level of headings, and you can use the heading 2 button as the subheading. And this will help you especially when you are putting together a table of contents for your manuscript. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in a... Welcome back. Now the next menu over is going to be the Insert menu. You have the Pages tab, Tables tab, Illustrations tab, Add-ins, Media, Links, Comments, Header and Footer, the Text tab, Symbols tab, and then any additional tabs for your add-ins. Now in terms of the Pages tab, it gives you an interesting set of options that you can add to your document. One handy tool is that you can add in a cover page. And by clicking this link, you're going to notice that Word will give you some options to add in a cover page. And if you don't like the pre-designed covers, what you can do is you can then choose one from the Office.com database. And you'll see some here. And all you'll need to do is to just click on the one that you want. And then you can make your changes inside of the document. And you'll see that here. It will then be at the beginning of your document. You can also then insert a blank page. This will give you the ability to place in any copyright information if you're creating a manuscript, or even to insert your table of contents. You can also insert graphical objects, including pictures, shapes, smart arts, and charts. You can also add in any online media into the document. For example, we can then search a YouTube video, decide on our choice, and then we can click in the actual choice. And of course, we can size down the thumbnail, and we can arrange it in the way that we want. Now this will be a clickable link to the actual document. It will not be the entire video inside of your document. Of course, you can also insert a hyperlink. For example, if you want to hyperlink a particular part of your document, you can go to this link. You can then insert the link, and then you can place the URL in the place that you want the link to go. And of course, you can add in a header and footer into your document. Of course, you can use the header and footer inside of your menu, or all you'll need to do is to come to the very top of your Word document, click the very top, and you'll see that your header will be available to you. Your footer will be available also. What's going to happen when you open this header, you're going to get a separate menu for header and footer tools. Now these tools are going to be specific to your working with the header and footer. When you've completed your work with the header and footer, all you'll need to do is to close this menu. You'll then be sent back to your regular document and come back to the insert command. What we're going to do here is stop the video, and we're going to take a look at a few more features inside of the insert command that will be particularly helpful to you when you're creating your documents. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now there are 3 additional features in the insert menu that you'll want to take note of. The first is going to be your ability to take a screenshot and add it to your document. So for example, if we know where we want to add the screenshot, and then we were to go to this menu, and then we were to click this link, We will then be given the available windows that we can take a screenshot of. We'll click the window that we want to add, and then we'll add in the screenshot in this area. And of course, to remove it or to retrace our steps, we can then click Undo. We can also cross-reference other places in the document. So for example, if we were to click this button, we can choose the kind of reference that we want to create inside of the document. So if we want to reference a particular heading, we can do that. And we can click this link. We can choose the heading that we want to cross-reference. We'll then select the reference. We can decide on how we want the reference to appear. So for example, we can have the clickable reference to the heading text, and we can then insert this as a hyperlink. Once we've completed this, we can then click Close. And what the individual will do when they click the link, they're then taken to the area of the text where we designate. We can also insert symbols when we need to. What we'll need to do is to go to this menu. We'll then choose the symbols that we want to insert. We can then click on the link, then click Insert. What we can also do inside of Microsoft Word is to insert the Alt symbols. So for example, if we were to select the Alt key, and then we were to write in a number, if we know the Alt code, we can then have our symbol inside of our area. For example, if we know our code, all we'll need to do is to click the Alt tab. We'll then write in our code, and then our symbol will be there. Now before this video closes, it's important to note that we can also create references by link using just the link command. So for example, if we wanted to highlight this area of the text and we wanted to make it clickable and we want to create a hyperlink, what we'll do is we'll get this menu. What we're going to do is we're going to click Place in this document, and then we're going to find the area where we want the link. Now we can actually use either a heading or a bookmark that we set with this key. Now in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to click this button, and we're then going to click OK. That means then that this heading or this text will then be clickable to the area of our document that we have specified. And we can do that by just hitting Control click. It'll take us to our other area that we highlighted. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now the next menu over is going to be the design menu. And design menu is going to be similar to the design menu in both PowerPoint as well as Excel. And what you're going to be able to do is to change the theme which controls the look of your document. So for example, what you'll be able to do is to come to this left-hand corner, and you'll be able to change the look of your document based on font and based on color scheme. So once you have a theme that you like, you can click the theme. And once you do that, what you're going to notice is that you have formatting structures that will appear within that theme. So you can change the formatting structure just based on the theme that you have chosen. So for example, we can choose a different kind of theme, and then our titles will be different, our subtitles will be different, and you'll notice that here in this area. When you're working with a theme, you can change the fonts in that theme. And for the most part, you won't be working with colors. However, you can change the color theme. You can change the color scheme inside of your theme. The theme that you're working with, you can change the paragraph spacing. And you can also change the effects. Now, if you want to go back to the original theme, what you can do is you can go to this area and you can reset to the theme from the template. Now, the page background will help you to decide on any branding and watermark you are going to use. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We're now looking at the Layout tab, which is the next tab to the right. And basically, the Layout tab helps us to control the final appearance of our document before we produce the PDF or before we produce the printout. And we can do that first in the Page Setup area. This is where we can either widen or make the margins more narrow. We can also change the orientation of our page. So for example, if we'd like to use a landscape method, what we can do is click this link, change the orientation to landscape. And of course, we can change it back to the portrait method. We can also choose the total paper size. So by clicking this menu, we can determine different kinds of document shapes that we're going to be using inside of the orientation that we have chosen. And we can change the number of columns that our content appears in when it's going to be appropriate. So for example, what we can do is we can change all of our content to 2 columns. You'll see our column line up in this way, which is more like a newspaper or magazine. And of course, we can change it back to 1 column. Now, when you're working and collaborating with other people on a document, one of the things you can do is you can refer to specific lines in the document. You can do that by displaying the line numbers. And we can use the menu in order to give each line a number that can be referred to. Of course, in order to turn these line numbers off, we can turn them back off. In the Paragraph tab, we can control our spacing and our indentation. So for example, if we want to make more space between our lines, we can do that. And we can control the indentation in this area. And you're basically going to use the Layout menu when you have completed your content, you have proofread it, you have spell checked it, and you are now ready to lay it out for the final processing or before you get ready to print. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now the next tab over is going to be the References tab. And if you are writing formally, this is where you are going to insert your citations for references throughout your writing. And in that case, you're likely to either be using either footnotes or endnotes. Now, if you are writing for academic purposes, you can use the style guide. And Microsoft Word has a style guide within it for APA, the Chicago, and other academic references. Microsoft Word actually gives you the opportunity to do a lookup of specific words inside of your document. So for example, if you highlight a certain term and you click the Smart Lookup, what will happen on your right side panel is you'll get articles that you can view on your chosen text. What you can also do is use the Researcher tab. Now the Researcher tab will pull open a sidebar. You can write in the term that you'd like to research. You'll then hit Enter. And what the Researcher tab does is it gives you citable sources as well as images that you can place inside of your document with the proper references. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, if we have been consistent in applying our styles, we can use those styles to insert a table of contents into our document. So for example, one of the things we want to do is we want to go back to the Home menu, and we want to make sure that our styles are going to be consistent. So we want to make sure that all of the paragraph text is going to be in the normal category. We want to make sure that our subheadings are going to be heading 1. And so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to make this subtitle, we're going to make it into heading 1. And we're going to do that by going to heading 1. We're going to update the heading to match the selection, and it is now heading 1. We're now going to change this subheading to heading number 1. We're now going to do the same thing for any other subheadings, which there are no longer. We're going to give our document a title. We're first going to highlight this text. We're going to change the case in the text. We're going to make this so that we capitalize each word. We're then going to take out the period. We're then going to center this title. And we're now going to change this to the title. We're going to do that by clicking this button. And then we're going to center our title. And for good measure, we're going to go back. We're now going to modify this, and we're going to make sure that it is going to be center justified. Now for good measure, we're going to give our first paragraph a subheading. So what we're going to do is we're going to now take a few spaces down, and we're now going to highlight this line and then make this heading 1. What we are now going to do is we're going to insert a page break. So we now have a title page. We're now going to insert a blank page. So now we have our title, we have a blank page, we have our content. The reason we did that is we want to come back to our references section and we want to insert a table of contents. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this drop down arrow, and what we're going to do is we're just going to build an automatic table. You'll see one at the top, and what you can do is you can click any one of these tables of content that you want to place inside of your document. We're going to click this one. And basically now we have our table of contents according to our subheadings. And so the table of contents will allow us to give our content a definite look. Now one thing that we can do is we can make sure that our content is going to appear on the pages that we want, and that we want to be able to update our table of content when something changes. And so in that case, let's assume that we go to our first subheading and then we input a page break. Now ordinarily we would not do this, but what we want to do is we want to create one subheading per page. So we're going to insert a page break here. We're going to come down to the next subheading and we're going to insert a page break here. So now what we have are subheadings on each page. But if we go back to our table of contents, it doesn't necessarily reflect now the new reality. So what we need to do now is go back to our references. We need to then click inside, and then we need to update our table. And what we're going to do is we're going to update the page numbers only. And now we see that our content is now on pages 3, 4, and 5. And that is how you work with your table of contents in the references menu. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now the next menu over is the mailings menu. And you can use the mailings menu in order to prepare for an actual mailing with either envelopes or labels. You can input the data into those envelopes and labels using what's called a mail merge. Now to go into the Create tab, we can look at the parameters for creating labels and or envelopes that we can print with our document. And in fact, when you open either the envelopes or labels, you'll notice that each one has a tab right over for the other. So basically what we can do here is we can write in the delivery address. And what we can do here is we can put in a return address. Now if you have your Microsoft Word connected to an electronic postage system, you can add that postage here. You'll need to be signed in order to do that. What you'll want to do is to make sure that your envelope is fed into the printer, and then you can click the print button. Or what you can do is you can add this to the document, and then when your document is printed, if you have an envelope inserted into the printer at the right point, then the document will print onto that envelope. We can use the same process if we are going to use printable labels. We can do that in this tab. We can click the Options button to determine exactly how we want to orient our content onto our envelope. We can also determine how we want to feed the envelope into our printer depending on how it works best. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now the next tab over is going to be the Review tab. And there are two basic sides to the Review tab, even though there are numerous elements and tabs. You're basically going to have areas where you can make changes to your document once you have completed. That would be proofing, speech, accessibility, and language. What you can also do is you can collaborate and work with others and work with them on your document once it's been completed. And there you use comments, tracking, changes, compare, and protect. Now in this video, we're going to focus on the first half of these elements, proofing, speech, accessibility, and language. Now with the spelling and grammar area, what we can do is basically spell check and grammar check our document. All we'll need to do to set this in motion is to click this link. So when we click the link, what's going to happen is that Word is going to go through your document and it's going to make suggestions based on basic grammar and basic spelling. And of course, all you'll need to do is you'll need to click on the proper choice or write in that proper choice. We'll come across another one and we can make various decisions on the choices. And then once the spelling and grammar check is complete, we can then click OK. We can also take one word and we can try to find alternative words for it. So for example, if we highlight this word, we can use our thesaurus and we can then look for other words that we might use in its place. If we're trying to do a word count of our entire document or a particular section, we can highlight the section, we can then click word count, and then Microsoft Word will give us statistics on that particular area. We can have certain parts of our document read aloud to us. So for example, if we highlight this area, we click read aloud.
Virtual reality, VR, is exactly what it sounds like it is. VR provides the opportunity to experience something that seems like a...
So you'll understand how your document sounds when it is read. You can do a check for accessibility to make sure your document is going to be suitable for everyone that might want to read it. And we can also translate our document into different languages. So for example, what we can do is we can click the translate button. We can translate a specific selection. We can choose to use intelligent services. We can then choose the language that we want the document to be translated into. And then we have our translation. And what we can do then is we can then insert. We then have our information in. And if we want, we can then go in. And then we can then have this read aloud to us. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, when you're working with other individuals on one document, one of the things that you can do is you can work with the Track Changes panel in order to keep track of all of the things that you might do to a document and then all of the things as another individual might do so that you'll know what to put into the final version. So what you would do to start the process is you would come to the tracking area and you would then click Track Changes. This will keep track of all of the changes that are going to be made as you do them. Now, if you don't want the changes to be shown, what you can do while you're working on the document is you can choose to have it so that only the original is going to show or there would be no markup showing. And what you and the other individuals can do is you can make changes to the document and then Microsoft Word will be tracking those changes. You can also add in comments to talk about why you made the changes that you did. So for example, what we might do here is we might then take this panel and we might translate this back into English. And then we'll click Insert. And then what we would do then is we would then put in a comment in this area. We can then make corrections. And again, we can make comments about why we make the changes that we make. And then we can close out our comments. Now, when the other individual is going to be reading the document, they can choose to look at the markup. So they can choose to look at a simple markup where they'll see our comments, or they can choose to look at all the markup where they will be able to see our changes. They can choose then to accept all of our changes, or to accept one change and then move to the next change so that they'll be able to monitor what we're doing. What we can also do is we can restrict the kind of editing that individuals will be able to make, and we can do that in this panel. So for example, we can add in formatting restrictions, we can add in editing restrictions, and we can add in the individuals that are going to be able to edit the document. Once we do that, we can click yes and start enforcing this protection in this area. So your review panel allows you to collaborate with others as well as to monitor the changes that they're making and then determine which ones are going to be most relevant. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now also in the review section, you'll notice on the right hand side there is a panel for Resume Assistant, and you can click that panel. Now basically when you undertake this, you will be sending information to LinkedIn in order to complete this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click the Get Started button. And basically what you would do is you would put in the role that you'd like to see examples for as well as the industry. What you would then do is you would then click See Examples. You can then read through the examples. You can determine it to be helpful by clicking Yes. And you can copy and paste this information into your document. You can also look at live examples by clicking this link. And this will take you to LinkedIn so that you can see specific instances of individuals who have this in their profile. You can filter the examples by the skills. And you can use those that you feel are going to be most appropriate for your case. Now you can do all this without going further into LinkedIn, or you can take this route into LinkedIn to look at specific examples. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. The next menu over is the View menu. And the View menu gives you a number of different ways to look at your document so you'll be able to edit it as well as to be able to make additions. So for example, in the Views tab, you can look at your document in different ways. You can look at it in read mode, for example, and this is a way of being able to read through your content. In order to go back to the other view, you would just go back to View and click Edit. It'll take you back to the editing view, which is the print layout. You can look at the web layout as it is, or you can go back to the print layout. You can view your page and have a ruler. You can view it with grid lines. You'll be able to see those grid lines here. You can view it with a navigation pane. And this will give you access to all of your different titles and subtitles and help you to find different places inside of your document where you want to start looking. You can enlarge the text or the screen by zooming in. Or you can go back to 100% and zoom back out. You can also choose to look at your document side by side. This will give you 2 pages at a time in order for you to view. Now the Windows tabs give you different ways of being able to organize what you're seeing on your screen in order to work on different sections of the document at the same time. So if you want to control how you are seeing the document in order to make it easier to work on, you can come to the View command and use any of the tabs in order to make your document more readable as well as easy to work on. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to go through some basic document creation. We're going to start from the Home tab. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to write in our information. Now in this case, we're going to go off screen and we're going to get some content. We're going to place it inside of the document as if we wrote it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to now go to the View command, and we want to open up our navigation pane so that we can keep track of where we are in our document. So we're now going to go back to the Home command, and what we want to do first is we want to place in our subtitles and we want to start placing our style inside of the document. So we're now going to apply our styles by first calling this area our title. And so we're going to click this link. We're then going to write in our headers. And so we're going to use heading number 1. And so we're going to click through each of these headings and make them heading 1. We're going to insert an image, and so we're going to come down into this area, and then we're going to insert an image from an online picture. So we're going to click this link, and we're going to put in this image and click insert. Once we do that, we're going to size it down, and then we're going to center this image. We're going to do that in the home area by clicking the Center Justify. Now, one of the things you might notice is that when we try to center justify, we're justifying the entire paragraph here. That's not what we want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to left justify. We're then going to look at the properties of our picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this picture button. We're then going to look at the layout. You're going to notice then that we don't have horizontal alignment available to us. So we're going to look at the advanced. We're going to click this button that says top and bottom. We're going to click OK. We then have horizontal alignment available to us. We're going to center justify the image. Then our image is justified, and we retain our content justification. We're now going to need to make sure that this content is now left justified. We're going to now use our linking command. What we're going to do is we're going to click this subtitle. We're going to give it a link. We're going to insert a link. We're going to put it at a specific place in the document, and we're going to have it go to this area. And we're going to click OK. We're also going to hyperlink some content. We're going to click this area. We're going to link. We're going to link it to a web page, and then we're going to write in our web page. We're now going to include a cover page. So we're going to click this cover page, and we're going to add in a cover. We're going to write in the title and company name and address. We now have our cover page. We're now going to insert a blank page. We're going to use that blank page now to put in our table of contents. So what we're going to need to do is to go to the references area. We're then going to need to click in our table of contents. We're going to put in our automatic table. And then we have our table of contents. Now in the next video, we're going to start the correction and the wrap-up process. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now as we edit and wrap up our document, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our review area. We're going to track our changes. What we're then going to do is make sure that the only thing that we have showing is going to be the document, yet with no markup. We're then going to do our spelling and grammar check by clicking this link. We're going to accept this change. We're going to ignore this change. We're going to accept this change. We're going to ignore this change. We're going to accept this change. We're going to accept this change. We're going to accept another change. We're going to accept this change. And now our spelling and grammar check is complete. What we're going to now do is we're going to pick a different style. We're going to center justify this title. We're going to put in a page break. So we're going to need to go to the insert command and put in a page break. We now want to take this last paragraph. We want to make this our conclusion. So what we're now going to do is we're going to place our cursor here again. We're then going to insert a page break. We're going to make this area last. We know from the bottom that we have 762 words. What we want to do is we want to see how long our conclusion is. You'll see that we have 69 versus the 762. We can also check that word count from the review pane. It'll give us the same information. We can close out of that. What we now want to do is we want to compare it to the original document. So we're going to go to this compare area. We're going to click compare. We're going to go to the revised document. And in order to see comparison, we'll need to close the revisions pane as well as the navigation pane. And then we'll be able to look at our document in comparison to the original document. In order to do that, what we can do is we can show no markup for either document so that we can look at a proper comparison. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, when you have completed your document, you've done all your editing, it's then time for you to be able to produce your document, whether you intend to print physically or you intend to do so digitally. So what you'll want to do is go to the File command, and then you'll want to click Save As. And once you've chosen your drive, it's instructive to know what kind of file types are going to be available to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this drop down arrow, and we're going to work through the different file types that you have available to you. You'll notice that you can use the docx file. The docx file is the newer version of Microsoft Word. You may also see available to you a DOC file or doc file, and this is the older style Microsoft Word document. You can save as a PDF file, and this is obviously the Adobe format. You can also save as a web page, and typically you would be saving as an HTML file. This will allow you to upload what you have to your server as a web page. You can save as an RTF file. Now, the RTF file will be a transferable extension that you can use in other applications. So you'll see at times that even if you aren't using Microsoft Word, you may find a document that opens in the RTF format. You can save your document as a plain text file. This will allow you to transfer your information into Microsoft Excel as well as to use in other applications. And you can also save as an open document text, which will allow you to use in OpenOffice. Now, there's one more thing that you'll want to be aware of when you are saving as a docx file, and you're saving as a docx file from one of the older versions. You're going to notice that there's going to be a checkbox here that says maintain compatibility with previous versions of Word. And if you know that you're going to be using more than one version of Microsoft Word, this is a good idea to check this button when you save this the first time. This will help you to maintain the ability to open documents on other systems that may not have the updated version of Microsoft Word. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. In conclusion, we've now worked through every menu and covered all the basics in Microsoft Word so that you'd be able to create a document, lay it out, print it, and then save it either as a document or PDF. You should now be able to create references any place in your document. You should now be able to review and correct your document for spelling and grammar, and then be able to collaborate with others in marking the document up. You should be able to manipulate the document's view so that you'll be able to correct it and add to it successfully. And you should be able to insert links, blank pages, page breaks, and references. You should also now be able to work with styles and keep them consistent throughout your document. And you now know how to track those changes in your navigational menu. You can now even use the integration between Microsoft Word and LinkedIn in order to create your resume. And you can use the translate feature to translate your document into another language. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I'll see you either in another video or in another course.